You know, people often say that if you don't find love in your 20s, you've missed your chance. Like, somehow there's this invisible clock ticking away, and once you pass a certain age, the chance to meet your soulmate just disappears. And let's be honest, that belief can really make you feel like something's wrong with you if you're single past 30. Maybe you've even felt that way yourself at some point, wondering, why hasn't it happened yet for me? Well, let me tell you something, love doesn't care about timelines. It doesn't care about birthdays, calendars, or what society tells us is normal. And if you don't believe that, just look at Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren, the Oscar-winning actress, the woman known for her elegance, her powerful performances, her incredible career, she didn't even meet the love of her life until she was 38 years old. 38. Think about that for a second. She was already established, already known, already successful. And yet her great love story hadn't even started. And get this, she didn't marry him until 10 years later, when she was 48. So for anyone out there who feels like they're too late for love, Helen's story proves otherwise. Now let's rewind a little and walk through how it all happened, because it's such a beautiful story. Helen wasn't exactly someone who dreamed of marriage from the beginning. In fact, she was pretty clear about not being interested in it. She was focused on her career, on living her life, on being independent. Marriage just wasn't part of her plan. And honestly, can you blame her? She was thriving, doing incredible work, and making her mark in an industry that isn't easy to survive in, let alone succeed in. Then along came Taylor Hackford. Now, Taylor wasn't just some random guy. He was a film director, talented in his own right, creative, and independent too. But here's the funny part, their first meeting was far from romantic. Actually, it was kind of the opposite. Helen went to audition for one of his projects, and he ended up keeping her waiting for hours. She was furious. I mean, can you imagine? Showing up to give your time and talent, and the director leaves you waiting? Helen was not impressed, and honestly, most of us wouldn't be either. But life has this strange way of flipping the script when you least expect it. Because despite that rocky start, something changed. As they began working together, there was this connection. Not some dramatic movie-style, love at first sight, kind of thing, but a slow, steady bond that grew out of respect and understanding. They weren't rushing into anything. They were both mature, independent, and established in their own lives. And maybe that's why it worked. By the time they officially became a couple, Helen was 38. And think about it, 38 is the age when a lot of people start to panic if they're single. That's when all the voices of doubt, all the pressure from family or society, really starts to kick in. But Helen wasn't panicking. She was living her life, and when the right person came along, it just happened naturally. And here's the part one loved most. They didn't rush into marriage. They didn't fall into the trap of thinking, we're older now, so we better hurry up and lock this down. Nope. They dated. They traveled. They supported each other's careers. They built something steady and strong. And they did that for 10 whole years before they even considered getting married. 10 years. That's longer than some marriages last. But for Helen and Taylor, it wasn't about following tradition or doing what everyone else thought they should do. It was about creating a partnership that was built on choice, not pressure. And when they finally did get married, Helen was 48. She knew exactly who she was. She knew exactly what she wanted. And she chose marriage because it was right for her and for them, not because it was expected. Isn't that just so refreshing? In a world where people are constantly told they need to settle down before they're too old, Helen Mirren shows us that you don't have to settle at all. You can wait. You can live your life. You can succeed on your own. And when the right person comes along, it will still be just as beautiful, no matter how old you are. Now, let's pause here and think about what we can actually learn from her story. Because it's more than just a romantic tale, it's a reminder of a few important truths about life and love. First, love doesn't come with an expiration date. There's no age limit stamped on it, no cutoff point where the universe says, "Sorry, you're too late." If it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean it never will. It just means your story isn't there yet. Helen proves that. She was almost 40 when hers began, and it turned into one of the strongest relationships in Hollywood. Second, patience really does pay off. How many people rush into relationships just because they feel pressured by time? They think, well, I better settle now because I don't want to be alone. And sometimes that leads to heartbreak, to regret, or to feeling stuck with the wrong person. But waiting until you meet someone who truly fits with you, can make all the difference. Helen waited. She wasn't in a hurry. And look how it turned out. Third, and maybe most importantly, marriage isn't the goal. Happiness is. Helen was happy and fulfilled before she ever said, "I do." She was living fully, chasing her dreams, and succeeding. She didn't need a wedding ring to feel complete. And that's such an empowering reminder. Because sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we think we need someone else to complete us. But the truth is, you are already whole. The right person will simply add to that, not fill in missing pieces. So maybe the big takeaway from Helen's story is this: you don't have to rush. You don't have to follow a timeline that someone else created for you. You don't have to feel like you're falling behind. Life isn't a race. And love? Love has a way of showing up exactly when it's meant to. Now let me ask you something. Do you believe love has a timeline? Do you think there's a right age to find it, or do you believe it can happen at any stage of life, just like it did for Helen Mirren? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, so share them in the comments. And if Helen's story gave you a little spark of hope today, make sure you check out our other videos on inspiring late-in-life love stories. They'll remind you that it's never too late for new beginnings. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, it really helps us out. Subscribe to the channel if you want more uplifting and inspiring stories like this one. And hit that little bell icon so you'll know every time we post something new. Because at the end of the day, love is unpredictable. It doesn't follow a script. It doesn't care about timelines. And whether you're 18, 38, or 68, it can still surprise you in the most beautiful way.